What's up everybody, King Rebo here, and today let's talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! 7's episode 20, Mimi vs Yugioh. Honestly, this episode was great for character building. Both Mimi and Yugioh got a great showcasing in this episode, as we see Mimi struggling to understand how she can achieve her dreams / personal goals of becoming the new head of Goha. She wants to be at the very top, that is her desire. However, she still has these feelings of comfort and somewhat feeling like she belongs with Yuya and the gang. So obviously we have this confliction between her being on the enemy team, but also wanting to be a part of, our main heroes' group. She even states in this episode that she has grown completely accustomed to being with Yuga and friends, which is kind of understandable considering the time that they have spent together, and the idea of Mimi being too close with the group was a great consistent theme that was carried throughout this episode. More on Mimi though in a minute. Where on the other hand, we had Yugioh's character trying to find his desires for the future, and thanks to Rook's advice, he hopes to find that answer through dueling, which is basically the only way you can find out answers in a Yu-Gi-Oh show. So, I mean, good advice, Rook. Now, I did enjoy the character of Yugioh much more in this episode than I did in his first intro episode. Honestly, the determination that he showed helped me enjoy the character a lot more. We saw his passion, his drive, and his desire, and we saw his character develop throughout this episode at a steady pace that just overall added more layers to him. Now, when we look at his character, we obviously know he has that ridiculous gimmick of becoming this post-apocalyptic king of duels, and honestly, I wish these two characters were two separate characters, because the voice acting and the kind of visuals and display that comes with the post-apocalyptic king of duel form is really cool. I love the voice acting and the voice work for that. But at the same time, when I remember that it's a tiny child inside that kind of costume, it really just doesn't work for me, and it just ruins the whole gimmick for me, or the whole enjoyment of that character. Still though, I think Yugioh's character struggled with self-confidence, and that was a reason as to why he wears that suit and has that persona. But then we see him at the end of this episode winning the duel without it. So could that be seen as his character developing to the point where he has somewhat overcome those issues? If he can win against one of Hexagon's number 6 duelists without having his persona of the post-apocalyptic king, then surely that's going to be a big confidence boost, and that will kind of skyrocket in his self-belief. Honestly though, the display of development of this character gets a really big thumbs up from me, because they handled it so well. Plus, his new ace monster looked amazing. A little bit too extra with all the trucks, probably a hassle to animate, but at the same time it fits the theme of his deck, and it has a really good ability in where it can attack all 3 monsters on your opponent's side of the field. You can also tribute 2 of your own monsters and gain attack points equal to the combined level of said sacrifice monsters. So a very powerful card, a very over the top but extravagant card, and it just looks cool. So going back to Mimi's character, this episode really did show off her pride as a mother, showing off the effort and dedication that she gives when looking after Yugioh. Whether that's cleaning the house or cooking for her son, or just going to work and getting lectured for whatever it is she has done, or being cramped on a train when commuting to said job. Those lines about work, however, and like commuting and everything else, were kind of hitting at real world struggles. I've been on so many overpacked buses trying to get to my job that it's unreal. And I've been trying my best at work, and you're still getting lectured at from people higher up than me. So Mimi, I can perfectly understand where you're coming from. And yet she still strides on, she still pushes on, and she's still determined to follow her own dream of becoming the head of Goha, but at the same time providing for her son, again, going back to that motherly pride. So I really have liked the inclusion that Sevens has done with these real life examples, and they've done that with a lot of episodes over the series of 7 so far. We've had 20 episodes, and they've done it in I would say, at a rough guess, I would say it roughly, they've done it at least more than half of the episodes so far. And I like this because in my opinion, it adds another layer of depth to the show. Something that I just find a nice breath of fresh air. Nice breath of fresh air. Seeing Mimi cry and getting emotional, at her son's growth, not only as a duelist but also as a person, was really wholesome. And again, it plays back to that motherly pride. And it's something that was really quite focused on in this episode, which I thought was quite nice. The helmet cracking was brilliant symbolism, telling us that even though Mimi has ties with Goha, she still is slowly but surely breaking away from them, meaning that feelings of confliction are still present in her mind. She's still undecided whether or not she truly wants to stay with Yugioh and the group, or stick with Goha. And it would have been really interesting to see her dialogue if Mimi had actually dueled Yugioh or anyone from their group. Obviously, we had this emotional, impactful duel between Mimi and her son, but she didn't want that to start with. She wanted to fight Yugioh or somebody from that group and deal them their first loss. She wanted to try and overcome her feelings of comfortness and accustomedness to the group by defeating the group. A trope that we've seen in quite a lot of animes. An example would be Sasuke from Naruto. He feels like he's not getting stronger with everybody else, so he's trying to, break away from everyone, and you get the idea if you've seen Naruto. But at the same time, we don't see that. Instead, we get that emotional duel with her facing her son, but the dialogue would be very interesting if she dueled Yugioh / one of his friends. I think it would be interesting. Moving on though, speaking of Yugioh, I liked and disliked the reveal of Goha's number 6 of Hexagon, aka Mimi, being, Mimi. Once the cast found out that it was her, it was good seeing that Yugioh, Roman, and Gakuto all guessed or were on the sort of thought process that it was her based on the cards, based on her actions, and everything else, because it shows off how perceptive they are as characters. They're able to look at clues like the cards, like her actions, and come up with their own ideas and philosophies and guesses. And we know that Yugioh is a very perceptive character and he's a very smart character. We didn't really see that in episode 19, but this episode brought him right back to where, we can trust that Yugioh is very perceptive and very smart. So props to that, because I really did enjoy seeing that again. However, at the start of the series, I found myself quite liking Rook's character, but as the series has gone on, they've really been trying to portray him as this dumb idiot. He's either really dumb or a very, very good actor, because they're pushing Rook to be the dumb idiot of the group, and I personally am not a huge fan of that, because I think Rook has a good design and some good cards, but at the same time, I just can't find myself liking Rook very much now. Personally, out of the core 4, Rook is my least favourite. And it's just because they're dumbing him up too much. I get that he's a kid, but at the same time, Rook, thumbs down. And that's why I said I both liked and disliked the reveal of Mimi being Goha, because he just kind of was like, what? Really? It was her? I don't know. I expect a little bit more from Rook's character. That's just my personal thoughts though. You may think differently. Overall, this episode was brilliant, giving us that brilliant twist at the end, where our heroes end up having their first penalty, because the Goha system perceived Mimi as being on Yugioh's side, even though she lost and Yugioh was representing the Yugioh group. Her vitals and actions all led to this system, basically to that verdict of Mimi being a part of Yugioh's group and being an enemy of Goha to some degree. Which kind of was foreshadowed with the helmet being completely broken off by the end of the episode. I kind of think you could have linked that with the whole system thinking about it, because obviously the Goha symbol breaking apart. I thought that was pretty cool. Nice little inclusion. Plus seeing that all the side characters, plus Roa, being affected by this loss and getting that penalty could result in more characters returning and helping out our main heroes, which to me is smart writing, and it makes sense. being that they are on Yugioh's side. They're all part of his friend group. So Gohar's system would automatically see them as enemies as well. In fact, we see the Ramen Kid appear next episode in the preview. Honestly, I'm not looking forward to seeing that again, but hey, well, hopefully the episode will deliver and make me entertained. The animation was great. I loved the emotional visuals that we see from the characters in this episode. The music and voice acting were brilliant. Absolutely loved that. The comedy was okay. Nothing too special. And yet, nothing terrible. Again, I just didn't like Rook's representation of comedy. I just think that's getting a bit annoying now. And honestly, the music, it helped create the tension and change the atmosphere. You know what? I'm doing a whole outro. I'm doing a whole thing again. Overall, a great episode with a brilliant twist at the end, giving our heroes their first loss. As the system of Gohar now perceives Mimi as being on Yugioh's side, thanks to her vitals and actions. Which kind of was foreshadowed with the helmet completely breaking off at the end when she was holding Yugioh. Because you can interpret that as the Gohar symbol kind of breaking apart completely over Mimi's character, meaning that she is broken away from what the system has perceived to be the side of Gohar. I thought that was pretty cool. Plus seeing all the other side characters, like the Ramen Kid, like the dinosaur people. And we also see Roa, who is not a side character, but we see him get affected by this loss and getting that first penalty. Which I thought was really smart, because it could result in more characters returning to help out our main cast. Which again, for me, smart writing, because it makes sense that these characters that are affiliated with Yugioh's team and in his friend group would be on the Gohar system as being enemies. So I thought that was pretty cool. That was pretty unique as well, and it was a great twist. So absolutely loved that aspect and that ending of the episode. The animation was great. I loved the emotional visuals from the characters. The music and voice acting were brilliant. Plus, it worked very well in creating more tension or changing the atmosphere to a more happier or more kind of jollier one. You know, with the whole kind of dancing all night fever with Mimi and all of that kind of stuff. That was really cool. Hopefully we get to see Mimi's character again in the future. But I'm getting the vibes that this could basically conclude her character for the time being, as she can't really be a spy now for Gohar because the group know who she is, nor can she act friendly around them because it risks her job. Which is a bit of a shame because I really like Mimi's character and I want to see her a lot more. But hey, I could be wrong. She might be in the next episode. We'll just have to wait and see. However, I want to know your thoughts on this episode down in the comments section below. Let me know, did you like the episode or where do you think the episode is going? Now, anything I miss, again, let me know and we'll have a chat about it. Honestly, I'd love to have a discussion. Like the video if you did, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Let's see that counter multiply. You get it? Because Rebo uses multiply to make loads. Anyhow, stay safe and have a great day. Alligator, matane. Goodbye.